Hey guys, Britt here. Welcome to End Times Bible Prophecy. Make sure to hit the subscribe, like, and share buttons. Well, in the aftermath of this horrific attack on Israel, what's going to happen next? What could happen next? And what is likely to happen next? That's what we're going to talk about today. And I want to expound upon a few things that I talked about with Tom Hughes on Tuesday. If you missed it, make sure to go check this out right here. This is the Hope for Our Times YouTube page. So I did a live stream with Tom Hughes on Tuesday. We talked about some of the things I'm going to talk about today, as well as is there any biblical significance, direct, specific biblical significance to this conflict that's taking place? How else does it relate to Bible prophecy? We talked about those things. If you're on Rumble, you can go check it out on Rumble. There's also the Hope for Our Times website and the Hope for Our Times app. So if you missed it, make sure to go check out this live stream. So guys, what is next? Well, we talked about this on Tuesday. We talked about this a little bit on Monday in Monday's video. And on Tuesday, President Biden came out. He announced America stands behind Israel. We stand behind Israel. A lot of the world is saying today they are standing behind Israel. But the question is, will they continue to do so? Because, guys, what is going to happen next? Well, we know that right now, Israel is gathering forces for a ground invasion of Gaza. And guys, that is not going to be a quick and easy and painless engagement. It's going to lead to a lot of suffering for all the people of that area, whether Israeli or people who live within the Gaza Strip. And so we're going to see a barrage of images plastered all over the media in the weeks ahead showing immense human suffering taking place in Gaza. Already we know Israel has cut power and water to Gaza. They've cut off all food and medical supplies from entering Gaza. Already there's an international outcry over those things, but there is a siege in place on Gaza. They're demanding, if you want food, then let the hostages free. And so we're going to see Israel going into Gaza and rooting out the terrorists one by one. But in the process, we've seen a lot of Gaza has been reduced to rubble. And there are going to be women and children dead as a result of this. They're going to die in the days ahead. Again, we're going to see immense suffering. And in the face of all of those images, what are world leaders going to do? Are they going to continue to say, we stand behind Israel? And that's just the ones who are doing that now. Some refuse to take a stance. Here in the United States, there are a lot of university presidents that won't condemn the attacks because their students are putting on pro-Palestinian rallies and waving around Palestinian flags. So there's going to be a lot of pressure in the days ahead to flip this from Israel as the victim of this horrific attack by a terrorist organization striking out of Gaza to Israel as an aggressor, as an oppressor, coming in and destroying and committing atrocities. That's what we're going to hear. That's the word we're going to hear. We're going to hear, well, what happened was terrible, but this is a disproportionate response. Mark my words, you will hear that if you haven't heard it already. But as soon as this begins, that's what we're going to hear. And guys, we need to stand with Israel. We need to stand with truth. We should be standing on behalf of everyone. I mean, everyone should come to know Jesus. We should not want anyone to lose their lives unnecessarily. But keep in mind, the world said never again following the Holocaust. Well, in order to prevent a never again, the Gaza Strip cannot be allowed to continue to operate how it has in these past years. We can't have a terrorist group like Hamas building up on Israel's border, strike, kill over 1,000 people. And again, I talked about this, I believe, on Monday, in Monday's video, as well as in the live stream with Tom Hughes. But to put this in perspective, it would be the equivalent of over 40,000 Americans being murdered in a single weekend when you look at the per capita impact of this attack by Hamas. So when you hear people comparing this to 9/11, on a per capita basis, it's correct to say it's 10 times worse, more than 10 times worse, because there's less than 10 million people in Israel. There's 330 million people in America. So imagine that terrorists poured over the Mexican border into neighborhoods in Texas and Arizona, New Mexico, California, and started killing women and children, old grandmas. They just went into the homes, shot them, plastered those murders on Facebook. And when we woke up that following Monday, it's 40,000 Americans dead and 100,000 injured. That's the impact to Israel, the same impact on a per capita basis. So this was a major attack. So we're going to hear a lot of people saying, well, that was horrific, but this response isn't justified. Guys, Israel cannot allow an attack like that to happen and then have throw a couple of missiles over at Gaza and say, okay, I think we've learned their lesson, and then allow that organization to build back up again and attack again in a few years or a few months or however long it would take them to build back up, especially when they're getting assistance from state actors like Iran. They're getting funding, they're getting intelligence, they're getting training from a nation state. And so they're seeking not just to destroy Israel, but the Hamas leader said their goal is to kill every Jew and every Christian on the face of the earth so that only Muslims are left. That's the end goal for Hamas. And so Israel is going to have to go into Gaza, and they're going to have to root out Hamas. And of course, Hamas knows this. This is, I believe, the purpose of the attack was to draw in this ground invasion. They will be using human shields. They will be pointing out, they will have the cameras ready for any amount of human suffering that they can put out into the media so that they can turn the world against Israel. And we need to stand firm in support of Israel, because their goal is to bring other players into the conflict to put this pressure on Israel. They want people in the West Bank to rise up and attack Israel. They want Hezbollah to enter into Israel from the northern border. They want Hezbollah to declare war. They want Syria to enter the war. They want Iran to enter the war. They want to bring in as many people as possible who have the same shared goal of destroying the nation of Israel and finishing the Holocaust. Because that, make no doubt about it, that is their goal. You need to pay attention to what these people are saying. We tend to project on other people what we think, and we think, oh, well, they wouldn't do such a terrible thing. That can't be their end goal. They really just want to get along. If we sit down and talk it out and listen to what they have to say, we can bridge these differences. That's how most people think. That is not how Hamas thinks. Hamas will not stop. They will not sit still until they destroy Israel, and again, every non-Muslim on the face of the planet, everyone who won't comply, who won't submit to their demands. So guys, this has to be rooted out. This has to be destroyed. And it's not going to be pretty. So you need to be preparing yourself spiritually for the days ahead, because make no doubt, this is a spiritual conflict, and we need to be on Israel's side. Why do I say that? Well, very clearly, God is. I want to point to this verse right here. We talked about this on Monday, but I want to reiterate it. It's from Amos chapter 9, verses 14 through 15. God says, I will bring my exiled people of Israel back from distant lands. That's exactly what he's done. That's what the modern day nation of Israel is. And they will rebuild their ruined cities and live in them again. They will plant vineyards and gardens. They will eat their crops and drink their wine. I will firmly plant them there in their own land. They will never again be uprooted from the land I have given them, says the Lord your God. And again, we go back to the book of Genesis. This land has been given to the Jewish people through Abraham. This was a promise that God made to Abraham, that his descendants would be as numerous as the stars of the sky and that they would inhabit the very land they are in today. So here's another promise by God saying, I've brought them back into the land from distant nations. They will never be uprooted again. So guys, the nation of Israel will not be destroyed by this conflict or any future conflict. That doesn't mean that there won't be terrible times ahead, just the opposite. We know the tribulation period is known as the time of Jacob's trouble. So there are terrible trials and tribulations still ahead for Israel and for the world before Jesus comes back and establishes peace on earth. But guys, the Jewish people will not be rooted out of the land again. And I want to take a look at these verses as well. This is from Isaiah chapter 41, verses 9 through 10. God says, I have called you back from the ends of the earth, saying, you are my servant, for I have chosen you, and I will not throw you away. Don't be afraid, for I am with you. Don't be discouraged, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will hold you up with my victorious right hand. Guys, God is on Israel's side in this conflict. That doesn't mean that Israel can do no wrong. It doesn't mean that bad things won't happen as a result of this conflict. But it is God's desire for the Jewish people to live in this land. And God is on the side of Israel. If you are a Bible-believing Christian, you should be on the same side as God. Because I'll tell you, no matter what any of these world leaders do, they may change their minds in the weeks ahead. Again, as this barrage of propaganda and images start to hit the airwaves of the immense human suffering that's taken place, they will be saying, oh, this is a disproportionate response. We need a ceasefire. Israel is the aggressor. They'll be calling for, resolutions condemning Israel in the United Nations. The whole world can turn against Israel. God is on Israel's side. Israel will prevail. I have no doubt about it. Still, people ask, what can I do? I feel helpless in the midst of this. Well, continue to pray. Obviously, many of you I know have been praying around the clock for Israel, for the people in Gaza, for the people of the Middle East and the world. Continue to do that. We need to be praying all the time. Again, this is a spiritual battle. There is a reason anti-Semitism has been rampant throughout the ages, and it is because it is satanic. There is a dark spiritual force pushing this anti-Semitism because of the promises God made to Abraham, and because through the Jewish people we received the scriptures and we received the Messiah, Jesus Christ. And Satan knows if he can destroy the Jews, well, then God has broken his promise to Abraham. And so that is his goal, is to destroy the Jewish people. And we saw it with Haman, and we saw it with Hitler, and we've seen it throughout the ages. And we're seeing it again right now taking place through Hamas and all these other organizations that want to wipe out Israel and wipe out the Jewish people. So guys, we need to be standing in support of Israel. After your prayers, guys, stand firm in the truth. You are an influencer, no doubt about it. You don't have to be Billy Graham with a stadium filled with people listening to you. You don't have to be some mega church pastor. You don't have to have a huge following on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter in order to be able to influence people. Everyone is an influence on their friends, their family, their neighbors, their coworkers, and everyone within your circle. So guys, make sure that you are getting the truth out about what is taking place right now and what the Bible says about it. Make sure that people understand there's no equivalence between these barbaric acts that took place in Israel over the weekend and what may take place in the weeks ahead as Israel moves into Gaza to eliminate the terrorist threat. There's no equivalence between those two. Yet, that's exactly what we're going to hear from the media in the days and weeks ahead. I have no doubt whatsoever about that. So guys, that's what's coming. Again, we're going to see this ground invasion take place. As it may be before this recording is aired, it may actually be taking place. I don't know. As of right now, it hasn't. But Hezbollah has made the claim that if Israel invades Gaza and sends ground troops into Gaza, they will declare war on Israel and attack on the northern border. If so, then this conflict goes to a whole nother level. And we'll talk about in the next video how this conflict may relate to specific conflicts prophesied in the Bible and what that means for setting the stage for the 7-year tribulation, the time of Jacob's trouble, for setting the stage for the Ezekiel 38 and 39 conflict. So there's many events to be watching. Lots of things are going to be happening in the days and weeks ahead, and we will try to capture all of those as we go through this. So one of those things is a call by Hamas for a global Muslim uprising and Day of Rage on Friday. Well, that is today. So guys, be on guard, be on alert, not just today, but in the days ahead. I would be very leery of going into large crowds, going to large events. Be mindful if you're entering a Christian or Jewish organization of any sort, anything that may seem a target for terrorists. Just be on guard, be on alert. We don't want to live in fear. The Bible tells us not to live in fear. But we need to be vigilant in making sure that further atrocities don't take place. So guys, there's a lot of moving parts to what's going on right now. We don't know what's going to happen on Israel's northern border as far as an attack from Hezbollah, which may or may not involve Syria and Iran. We'll have to see how that plays out. We also had the United States has sent 2 carrier groups to the Mediterranean. We'll have to see how that plays out in all of this. A lot of that may have to do with positioning in relation to Russia and Ukraine. Russia, again, has a presence in Syria. But guys, keep in mind, pray for good leadership, pray for the days ahead, because there have been war games in the past where you've had this very scenario, and those war games have ended with an aircraft carrier, a U.S. aircraft carrier, being sunk as a result of this. So this is a very volatile situation. There's a lot of things that could happen, a lot of things that could impact not just that region, but the entire world. We have things like this. We're going to be keeping our eyes on this as well. So this is from a few days ago. It says, Israel just shut a gas field near Gaza. Here's why that matters. And so Israel shut this gas field because they saw that it could be a target for Hamas. Well, not only does this gas field provide gas to Israel, but it's sent to Egypt, converted to liquefied natural gas, and then sent to other parts of the world, including Europe. So the European energy situation could get out of control if we see disruptions to oil and gas supplies in the Middle East. Again, we have the Straits of Hormuz. If there's some sort of conflict with Iran that blocks that, leads to that being blocked, 40% of the world's exported oil travels through that corridor. So this is a situation that is developing every hour. We'll keep our eyes on this. Again, the next video, God willing, we will talk about what this conflict may or may not have to do with Bible prophecy, with a specific, as far as a specific conflict. Make no doubt, guys, this is of biblical significance. This is, at the very least, one of the birth pains Jesus told us to look for that is leading up to the tribulation period. But it could be something more significant. And again, God willing, we'll talk about that in the next video. So leave your comments, leave your thoughts below. If you have other ways that you believe we can support Israel, other than through prayer and supporting them and standing by them, leave those comments below. And until then, God willing, I will see you on Monday. Bye. If you want to learn more about the end times and Bible prophecy, make sure to sign up for my free monthly newsletter and get your copy of my free ebook, 7 Signs of the End Times. Just follow the link in the description to get your free book. Also, make sure to check out all of my books. Just look up Britt on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple iBooks, Google Books, Kobo, or anywhere books are sold. Thanks for watching today, and until next time, keep your eyes fixed on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith.